What's your lemonade stand story?
And he was like, YouTube's going to be the next big thing, Devin. Like, you need to get on that. You need to get on it early. And I'm like,
And all of us, we all go through our own trials, our own level of stuff.
Sure hope this works out. Otherwise, this will be a huge waste of time.
I mean, what else is it all about other than just taking risks and continuing to try and grow and hopefully get better and better at making things?
Most of the billion-dollar brands you've seen were started by people that were just solving a problem for themselves.
We're telling lemonade stand stories from some of the world's top creators, makers, and go-getters.
We're rolling right now.
Hey,
We're having fun. We're rolling.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this podcast today is sponsored by Yalla, a task management and team collaboration software that we use at Lemonade Stand. We use Yalla to keep all of our team members organized, wherever they are. In fact, we used it to plan and organize this podcast. Visit yalla.team, that's YALLA.team, and try it for free. We also have a special offer for all listeners of this podcast. Use promo code LEMONADE and get a lifetime 25% off if you upgrade. What is going on, guys? This is Chen Prabhakar with the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast, and with me today is Mr. Derek Hinckley, who I just found out grew up in Knoxville, right?
That's
and
right.
not Nashville, but Knoxville.
That's right. Yeah.
But Derek is a fantastic musician. He's an artist. He's got a new musical that is coming out into Utah, The Best Thing About Christmas, which is great because, I mean, I love Christmas, first off, but to find the best thing about it is just that much more exciting and positive.
You want to search out the best thing, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely. And I actually have some fun Christmas stories for you as well, involving music, which is very
great.
exciting. I don't want it to, I don't want to sound like I'm a bit of a competition for what you've created.
Okay.
But I have done some things in the past
All right.
that have been
look
pretty
for
powerful.
You're rising up there, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But dude, thank you so much for coming on. This is awesome.
My pleasure.
So I want to hear a little bit, the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast is all about people's lemonade stand stories, like how they got into their career. And you and I were both jamming out about 90s music and how much you loved it. We graduated like 2 years apart from each other. Let's talk a little bit about how you got into the music scene and like how you found your own voice as a musician. Because I think there's different types of artists, different types of, like narratives that are told through music. So how did you get involved in music to begin with?
Well, that's a great question. My parents are musicians. They're both
Awesome.
songwriters. They sang together as a duo. I was actually born in Layton, Utah.
Oh,
So
you're
I
a
didn't tell you that
Utah.
before.
Okay,
I'm
this is
technically
great.
a Utah. So
Okay.
when I was 3 years old, my dad and my mom moved my brother and I to Georgia
Cool.
to play music. My dad is an Eagles kind of a guy, you know,
Okay.
back in the day.
Yeah,
He loves the
of
rock
course.
and roll. And he brought my mom. He's taught my mom how to play bass, and she's a fantastic singer.
No
so
way.
They started playing together in clubs, Elks clubs, and just different places. They actually got on the radio for about 6 months in the South Georgia. And
How was raising up like that? Because I mean, it's totally a different type of, I guess, career choice or stability or whatnot. I'm a big arts guy myself. So how was it growing up? Was it stable, or was it like you guys were moving around trying to get gigs to gigs, or how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, it felt stable. When you're a kid, you kind of know what you know. You don't know anything else. So we always had food. We always had shelter. We always had what we needed.
Amazing.
But we didn't. Looking back at it, it wasn't a whole lot. But we didn't need a whole lot. We were good. My parents moved. They did move from place to place a bit. We moved around a little bit, and we finally landed in the Knoxville area, which is where I was from about 4th grade until I left.
Okay.
So, yeah. But my parents played music for 25 years and raised our family solely playing music. Like that was the only income in the family.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing you guys were able to pull that off. That's incredible.
I know. Well, I don't know if you could do that today and raise a family of 4 kids, but they figured it out back in those days.
That's awesome.
It was fun though. I mean,
that's incredible. Like that they provided such a rich atmosphere for you to grow up in, right? Because I think like a lot of times parents are like take like the logical choice or like, yep, you got to be this stable income breadwinner, like going to like some 9-to-5 job. But from an early age, they kind of said, oh, that's not always the way you have to live life.
Yeah, they were okay with going a little bit against the grain. And speaking of lemonade stands, I mean, they're the very epitome of it, because they were like, we're going to play music. This is what we love. We're good at it.
Yeah.
We're going to figure out a way to make a living doing it and raise a family at the same time. And they figured it out.
That's amazing, man.
The fun thing is too, we got to go up on stage with them a lot. They played at a place called Dollywood.
Okay,
Some
yeah.
of your listeners may know where that is. It's a really fun place to be.
Yeah.
But there was all kinds of music, musicians, cloggers, and that whole kind of vibe there.
Fun.
They played there for 10 years on the park. And so we got to go, and we actually lived at Dollywood in the summers, me and my brother and
No
sister.
way.
Yeah. We had a little room in the back. We had our little games and our little videos, and we were able to run around the park and just kind of own the place.
That's amazing,
We
man.
thought we were something special.
Well, you guys are, because you like live in Dollywood, you know, that's amazing.
Yeah, can't beat that.
Yeah. So did you grow up with the love of music yourself just because of your parents?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my dad was a guitar teacher back in the day when he lived in Utah, and also when we moved around. And he's a great guitarist, and he started teaching me guitar and really piano when I was 8. That's really what I started playing music on. But the funny thing is the books where they'll try to run you through the drills. I don't know if you took piano at all. But
I took violin.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, you know the books.
yeah. No, I know the books.
Dreaded books.
Yeah.
The flashcards and all that stuff. Oh my gosh. I couldn't stand that stuff. My dad was like, okay, you just got to do these drills.
Right.
Play the songs. I'm like, Dad, I don't want to do this. So I'd put my Walkman on. You know what a Walkman is? Of
Definitely
course.
know what Walkman is.
I put on a little Lionel Richie.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And I would jam to my favorite songs. And that's how I learned the piano. I put the books away. I could not.
Oh, I love that.
That's how I learned, by ear.
Okay.
By playing along with my favorite Lionel Richie songs or whoever it was in the day. That's what got me going in music, really.
You know what's so funny about that? I was forced to play the violin because I had grown up in Utah, and we met this other Indian family, which was a rare like commodity. Like, oh my gosh, there's other Indians besides us in Provo. Like, take note, who are they?
Take note.
Yeah, and so I ran into these kids in the toy section, and like the ages of them and us were very similar.
Yeah.
So I ran to my dad. I'm like, Dad, there's other Indians here. It's crazy. And so he met their family, and then we just became like really good friends. Yeah. And their middle child, her name is Sonal. She is the same age as me. And I instantly had this crush on her, and she played the violin. And my parents were like, oh, well, you probably should play the violin. I'm like, wait, I don't know. Should I? I mean, I don't know. And so I started playing the violin because she was already playing the violin, but she actually liked playing the violin. Yeah. I was like, wait, this is the worst. And so I didn't really enjoy my time playing the violin. However, I remember like taking those flashcards and like all of those drills and all this stuff. But it's great because you found a way to make it your own. You found a way to find complete love, like through the Lionel Richie cassette tapes.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Which, by the way, don't you remember mixtapes? Weren't mixtapes the best?
Oh yeah,
dude,
absolutely.
Wasn't it great when you could like make a mixtape for a friend? You're like, okay, here's
Look
this
what I just made you.
I just made you this,
baby.
Yeah, and that's like it was like a precious commodity for someone, you know, to have a mixtape. And then like, you know, of course, like when the tape like broke open or like all the whatever the inside
all the
of
tape
it
came out.
All the tape came out. You're like, oh no, like it's like then you get the pen and like you know like see if you can like get it back in place. Oh man, those are the days.
Yep.
Kids these days don't even know what a Walkman is. I'm so sad.
It is really sad.
Yeah. So when you started to develop your own skills with music, and it was like piano and it was guitar, did you also develop your voice at the time, or how did that all come about?
No, that's a story in and of itself. So I was shy as all get out.
You were? Okay, I was too. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about your shyness.
I mean, I was good playing, and we'd get up and play. My younger brother Nathan and I would play drums and piano up in these clubs that my parents would play at. And
sure.
We're good there, and we did some singing with them, but I did not like the spotlight. Now, my younger brother, Nathan, he was all about the spotlight.
He loved it.
He loved it. And he just soaked it up, and he still does to this day. When he hears this, he'll laugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were my 3 siblings, 2 brothers and 1 sister, were all the lead actor or actress in their school plays, in their school musicals.
Okay.
Oklahoma, West Side Story, those kind of things. Me, never. I never stepped foot on the stage. I was always behind the scenes, like programming the music and doing all that stuff for those musicals. But I was not one to be up on stage with the spotlight on me, acting or singing. it was kind of terrifying. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me how you broke out of the shyness for yourself.
Oh man. I think, well, I went on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I
Awesome.
went to Northern California.
Amazing.
And actually, I didn't really pick up the guitar until my mission.
Okay.
Oddly enough, my dad was there, a great teacher, and I had the resources. But I just, sometimes when your parents want you to do something, or you see your parents doing something, you want to be a little rebellious, and you don't want to do that thing. You want to do your own thing. So I rebelled or whatever, but eventually I went to a pawn shop when I got to my mission. And my mission president was great because he was like, yeah, totally. Play before you study in the morning or on your P day or whatever. And I learned the guitar on my mission.
No
so
way.
that was great. And I could tell you all kinds of things about my mission. I produced a mission album for the Roseau mission. I produced in the studio during my mission. Like, who gets to do that?
Well, did
you?
Well, yeah, I did. Well, I learned how to play the piano on my mission.
Yeah. Where'd you serve?
I served in Australia.
Oh, cool.
Chinese speaking, which is hilarious because I'm Indian. I know it's weird. It's a very confusing time for me.
That's wacky. Then.
It is super wacky. Cool. But my companion, my trainer, was an amazing piano player. Incredible.
Yeah.
And so I never took any piano lessons or anything like that, but he taught me like basic chords and I loved it. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. So I still can't really read music, but I play by ear, piano.
Yeah, yeah.
But on the mission, he decided to produce like a Christmas album, like some kind of hymns and stuff like that. Right. And he taught me, we did a duet of Carol of the Bells.
Okay.
And he's like, Sharon, you just need to use 3 fingers. Just it's fine. Like just practice this part and you're gonna be okay. But yeah, we produced an album. But how cool is it for you to like be able to do the same thing? That's amazing.
Oh, it was great, and I kind of was around that my whole life, recording. My parents did albums and things, and the brothers and I, 2 brothers and I would sing together, and we always thought, well, someday we're gonna kind of be a thing, the Hinckley brothers or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And when I got back from a mission, I decided, you know what, this is something I want to take seriously. Like, this is something I want to do in my life. And I was able to use music on my mission a lot to bring the Spirit to people and really lift them up in some ways. And I wrote lots of songs on my mission that were kind of spiritual in nature, and consequently, some of them are in this musical.
No way!
They actually survived that many years.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I think. But just had some great companions and great fellow missionaries that were able to really help, kind of bring me out of my shell and like sort of give me that confidence. And of course, serving a mission gives you confidence.
Yeah.
If it does nothing else, it helps you with your development and being able to be in situations. So
absolutely,
I knew that was it was time when I got back.
It was time when you got back.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was so shy growing up. Like I remember in 7th grade thinking I want to be an actor, but I was so incredibly shy, which doesn't really work if you're going to be an actor.
No,
not so much. But I took a drama class in high school. And I remember like the first time going up on stage, and it was just so terrifying, like to perform in front of these kids, But then I made them laugh, and I didn't know, I loved doing comedy, and I couldn't believe that they were actually laughing at the stuff that was coming out of me. And so I'm like, oh, wait a minute, like this is like instant feedback at this time, and knowing that they like were supporting me, and it wasn't like an awkward feeling at all, definitely helped. But I will say the mission for sure was like the key to kind of unlocking this huge part of me that wanted to perform and do all those things. So I totally agree with you. Now you said you came back and you're like, all right, I want to make this a big thing. What was the next set of your life? Because that's still a little while ago, right?
Well, it was to put on my dad's cowboy hat and act like a cowboy, a country guy, which I was not.
Yeah.
I mean, like we said, I came from Dave Matthews and Pearl Jam days.
Yes.
This is not really my thing, but I started to get into country a little bit at that point, and because I felt that my writing style was more geared towards a country sort of song. It was more of a story.
Yeah.
It kind of had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
Aside from the like alternative stuff, which is just kind of hard to define, and I was like, I can't really write that kind of stuff. I tried once. I wrote a song called Thoroughbred.
Okay.
That was the very first song. I don't know who all knows this. Now everybody knows it.
Yeah.
The first song I ever wrote, and it was terrible. It was just was a train wreck. It meant nothing. I had no clue what the words meant. The chords were okay, but the lyrics were a train wreck. So I found that writing country was a little more my lane.
Okay.
And I could like the things that I wanted to say, I could say in that way, in that voice.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I wasn't a huge country fan, but then there were certain things like some of the things that Garth Brooks had done. I was like, oh, I was actually interested in that, And then like I listened to the lyrics for Thunder Rolls, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is epic.
Yeah, it's heavy.
It's heavy stuff.
Garth was a huge influence for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else were some of your influences?
Oh, a guy named Brian White. I don't know if you know who he is, but
I don't know him.
He's kind of a mid-level artist. He did a thing with Shania Twain. He did From This Moment On with Shania.
Oh my gosh, I love that song.
Huge song,
huge
right?
Song, yeah, it's great.
So he was able to do that. He's great. He's kind of a Steve Wariner. You know who Steve Wariner is? I mean, lesser known if you're not like in country,
right?
But,
yeah.
Some of those guys like Diamond Rio, the group.
Yeah, I've heard of Diamond Rio.
They're kind of based out here. Who else? Just groups like that, Lone Star, and those kind of groups back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I literally decided, I'm like, I think it's time. And I decided to make like a mix of, nowadays you can just use Amazon Music or Spotify or whatever and create your own playlist.
Yeah.
But I created a playlist of just like 90s awesome stuff, like Oasis and all that stuff. And I'm just like, dude, I have major regret not doing it much earlier because I'm like, it was just bringing back so much nostalgic memories, right? And I actually kind of want to talk a little bit about nostalgia and the memories that music can bring, because I find that music has this superpower, and it can like bring people to a certain part of their life or a healing part of their life. I remember, back in 9th grade, Basket Case by Green Day was like my jam, right? I would like listen to that non-stop. And then Name came out by Goo Goo Doll, non-stop. I love it. I love it. I still listen to it. I'm not ashamed to admit that. But what's interesting is like those songs, like Third Eye Blind, like, things like that, definitely like brought forth like a certain memory and like it allowed like certain things to come out of me that I'd kind of forgotten, right? How do you think music does that for you and for the people that you've been able to share your music with?
Let's see. Well, I can definitely remember some songs that were like heartbreak songs for at least for me, that are not good memories to bring back. Yeah. Especially on my mission where I was still listening to some songs and like still holding on to my prior life. Yeah. And like, okay, don't get rid of that, get that out of my head. Yeah. Because it definitely has a power more than a lot of other things do to transport you back to a place and time and a feeling, whether it's a good, joyful one or maybe it's a not so good one. Yeah. I don't know. I think music for me, it definitely defines a part of your life, and it's really a testimony for me. Kind of a timestamp in my life as far as writing. Yeah. Like a lot of those songs I wrote before I served on a mission and then after, those are a lot different than the ones I would write today. I think it's kind of like a journal almost. It's like a musical journal of my life for me, and I don't know how it affects other people, but hopefully when they hear something that I've written or sung, or maybe that me and the brothers have sung back in the day, it just reminds them of growing up at Northbrook subdivision in East Tennessee and running around the block and the brothers chasing each other in the front yard. And my brother tackled me on the concrete, and once I got him off of me, he darted around the block and he never came back. I kept chasing him and he kept running because it's a big circle, right? So eventually he was going to get back home. Yeah. I kept chasing him. It just those times we would build rafts down at Beaver Creek, right? Like I just feel like some of those songs from our first albums really were very really kind of gritty and just real down home, and it was all us playing the instruments. We didn't have these amazing musicians that are on our later albums. We were playing everything and singing everything. We didn't have all the tricks in the studio. It was just us, just how we'd sound in the living room, just jamming, which is what our family does all the time.
I love that what you were saying about like chasing around each other in the house and like building a raft and stuff like that. I feel sad for sometimes kids these days that are like so filled with like social media and stuff like that. They forgot the simpler times. I mean, just the other day, I went and had lunch with two friends of mine that I haven't seen, honestly, for a very long time. I mean, we were friends back when we were 12. And when we were 12 years old, it was always like ride your bikes to the cul-de-sac.
That's right.
You know, you go to their house, and then it's like we'd be having sleepovers, and we'd be, you know, playing Nerf wars and stuff like that. Like those are the things that we did all the time. Nowadays, kids don't have that. It's all about, like, you know, Instagram likes and things like that. It's like that you removed yourself from a time that was much simpler and pure, in my opinion, right?
I wonder if that's the case, though.
Okay.
You know, because I have 5 boys, right?
Oh, okay, wow.
So, and they're all about that kind of stuff, all the stuff you just mentioned. They love getting on with their buddies, you know, games and all that kind of stuff. And I've gone back and forth in this with my wife, because I want them to do the same things that you and I did.
Yeah.
I want them to go ride their bikes and go climb trees and go scrape their knee a little bit, like figure out what life is about, like get dirty, you know, get a little gritty out there. And they don't have to do that. Like, life is so comfortable for our kids now, and they have entertainment everywhere they look. There's something that is ready to entertain. I want to be entertained. Boom, I've got it. Yeah. Everywhere in the house even. And we adults, us parents, we allow that. And why do we do that? You know, like, but then I think maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Like, maybe we had those experiences in that more real world way, or kind of a tactile way, right?
Sure.
Maybe we had those because that's what was available. That's what we needed, and that's what was available, and there was nothing else. And so maybe it's not a question of better or worse, like our time versus their time. Maybe it just is what that was, and this is what it is, and we need to make the best decisions we can with what's available now. I mean, look at the ability to connect with people all over the world in ways that we could never have even dreamt of.
It's so true.
And so maybe our kids can be built up by others, or they can build up others because of the technology and how accessible those things are to them. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
It totally makes sense. And it makes me wonder, like, you know, our kids, it's like they're going to be like our kids are like telling them, man, remember those good old days when we could just like each other on Instagram? I'm like, yeah, that seems kind of an interesting thing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. But I wonder what our kids will be doing
exactly.
with, like, if that's what our kids are doing now.
Exactly. Right. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I love that what you're talking about, like that tactile way of of gaining experience, where it's like you're running around, you're playing tag, you're like, you know, jumping on trampolines, and you know, like that to me was just like this. There was like this purity about it, right? And even in high school, I remember. Here's a perfect example: like asking girls out. I had to call people's landlines. People don't even know what that is, you know?
Right.
You call a landline and you have to talk to the parents first.
Yeah.
And you're like,
is
hey,
so-and-so there?
Yeah, so-and-so there. And your voice is cracking. Like, kids, they don't have that thing. Nowadays, it's like you're just texting each other and stuff like that. But I feel like in some ways, like they were robbed of like a really pure time, this is just my personal opinion. I'm sure.
I definitely agree.
You know? So it's kind of an interesting thing. I want to change topics a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your musical, The Best Thing About Christmas. How did this come to pass in your life? Like, how did you say, hey, I want to make this a musical and bring this forward?
Well, let's go back about 10 or more years when I first wrote the song called The Best Thing About Christmas. So we're in Nashville. We had just moved there and just getting to know people. One Sunday at church, a lady that became a good friend of ours stood up and she gave a talk during the meeting. And she gave this poem. It was called The Best Thing About Christmas. And it was about this little girl who was just realizing that she loved the Santa Claus and the reindeer and the wrapping presents and the gifts and the giving. And she kept realizing layer upon layer, wait a second, Santa Claus is fine and all, but really it's about wrapping gifts and giving those to people and like looking outside herself. And then, well, that's really good too. But the real purpose, the really the best thing is that our Savior came for us, and that Christ came to the world, and that he lived a life that was exemplary, and that we can follow and we can believe in him, and all those things. And so that was just a poem. It was no music or anything. And when she gave that, my songwriter brain clicked.
Mm.
And when you're a songwriter, you are kind of like tuned in to different phrases and just different ways of saying things. When you hear them in a commercial, on a billboard, some way, just in speech, you hear those things. You're like, okay, that's a hook. It's a hook.
Yeah,
I knew that was a hook, and so I asked her for a copy of that after that meeting. I'm like, I'm gonna write a song. This has got to be a song.
Yeah.
Got song written all over it. So
sure.
It didn't take me long. It was a really easy song to write. That's the way I sort of write. Sometimes it'll just download out of the sky. And it's like, this is the song. It can't be any other way. This is the only way it can be. Yeah. This is the only melody that fits these words. Don't even try to change it. Yep. It ain't going to change.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of am. But I wrote it, didn't do much with it for a lot of years. I mean, I sang it at maybe Christmas, maybe for a church thing or just for family or whatever. And my mom loved it. She loved the song, and she did some things with it, some presentations and kind of themed. But I didn't do much with it for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward about 10 years, and here I am still in Nashville, rubbing shoulders with the writers and the producers, and trying to get my brother's group, the Hinckley brothers, out there. And we made some real good progress. We worked with Dolly Parton's producer first, did a record with him, and then we moved on to another guy who was a member of Lone Star, the band, and he's just a fantastic producer. And we got our stuff in front of some of the biggest labels in Nashville.
That's
and
incredible.
I felt like, you know what, we're here. Like, this is our shot.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about the way the music business works, it's not about how talented you are. It's part of it. It's who you know, and it's and how the timing works, right? Because with TV, film, any kind of media, there's kind of an ebb and flow to what the demand really is. And if a label is looking for a brothers group that sings harmony and that kind of has that thing going, then good for you.
Great.
They'll pick you up. But it just wasn't our time. And by that time, my brothers and I we have dozens of kids. We have lives and we have families and our wife, and we were just like kind of moving away from really focusing on that. So I just knew this might be slipping away. This whole brothers, like being the next Rascal Flatts, might be slipping away, which we were on track to be. We could have been that.
Yeah.
And definitely is something that we would have loved to have done. But there's also a life that goes along with that. There's a life that you have to kind of live and accept, and it's a life on the road. It's a life of maybe being forced to make compromises on your values and your morals that you maybe don't want to do, and you don't want to be faced with those things. And I know there are a lot of great folks here in Utah and around the country that continue to go out there, and they keep their values, they keep themselves straight, they keep a good head on their shoulders, and it's fantastic to see that example out there, because we need that in the music world and all those worlds. But I just felt like, this maybe is not going to be what sets me apart from other people. I write songs. I love to write songs, but how many other millions write songs too in Nashville, And how do you gotta stand out in some way? And I wasn't doing that. So that's when I thought, you know what? Let's try something new. Let's write a musical. Sure, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
How do I do that? I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the beginning of it. It was I think 2018. It was like November of 2018, and I thought, I'm gonna write a script and write a story around this song, kind of bring this little girl to life and just bring some characters in and just kind of turn it into a cute little story and use the song as kind of the backbone of it. And we pulled some people together from our church congregation in Knoxville, and we put together a little workshop, and we had about 100 people come that December.
No way.
And they loved it. They were like, this is really cool. And my brothers were filming. My brothers are videographers. They do cinematic photography back in Knoxville. So
amazing.
And the lights and the cameras, and we tried to act like we were a big deal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But that was kind of the beginning of the best thing about Christmas, that winter of 2018.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. I love that. That's awesome. I mean, you know, as you were like talking about like your brothers and you wanted to kind of be the next Rascal Flatts and things like that, but then recognizing, hey, there is a life that comes along with that. And do we want that life? It's really interesting because you're always in this mode of like trying to pivot, trying to figure out, well, as an artist, how do I want to share my talents with the world, right? And you may have had like certain visions and expectations of like, oh yeah, like this is how it's going to turn out, or that's how it's going to turn out, right? But things don't always go according to the way you might see it going for you.
Rarely do they.
Yeah, you know?
Rarely, yeah.
Yeah, and the truth is like, if you ever have sometimes things go your way, and then you realize, oh, but I'm still not happy, then it's like you almost feel like you've been climbing up this wrong ladder for a very long time, right? I found early on in my own acting career, if I wasn't completely full of joy and happiness, it didn't really matter the level of success I got. It didn't really matter like where I ended up being, because it wasn't fulfilling. Yeah. It wasn't satisfying, right? So with the best thing about Christmas, you turning it into a musical and everything, has this been performed already, or is this in Utah being the real first thing?
Utah is really the real the world premiere. The debut.
No way.
Yeah, it really is. We did a workshop of a script that sort of resembles this script, but it's changed a bunch since then. In April in Alpine, at my cousin's house, and it was great. Met a lot of great people. That was really my first exposure to the theater community in Utah at all, because of some of the folks I've been working with that just sort of were already plugged in. They gathered great actors and people that perform at the Hale. And like, okay, these people are the real deal. Like, this is great. And I just don't really have that back home. I'm sure it probably exists, but I'm just not plugged into it at all. Sure. I was plugged into the music world, but not the theater world. Yeah. So I had no way to really start something out there. And that was one big draw is coming out here. Is my buddy Tyler told me, man, the community for theater out here is just massive. Yeah. It's just huge. And I'm just like, oh, really? Can it really be that big? But I found out it really is. Like, it's a big deal. The arts are huge in Utah. I did some little bit of research. Per capita, it's the most. What was the stat? As far as the per capita, there are more theaters, more shows, more people involved in the arts per capita in Utah than anywhere in the country.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I saw a stat on that. It was done by the Salt Lake Commission. I'm like, okay, I think we're on the right track. Yeah. Let's give it a shot. Let's give Utah a shot. Does
it feel like amazing to see these amazing performers bring your words to life? Oh, how has that felt for you?
I can't even describe how cool it is to see and hear people really owning the script, the dialogue, the characters that I've just really dreamt up out of nowhere. Yeah. Really in this show, in the script, the main character Derek. Okay. There's some similarities. Okay. There's a lot of similarities. Okay. So really the way I wrote it in the beginning was that it was this guy deciding to do what I did in real life, to write a musical to kind of save himself, like to save his dream, right? To make himself stand out. That happens on stage. You're seeing him write this musical on stage in real time. Okay. So I'm just warning you, the lines get really blurry here. Like what's reality and what's not. And even I forget sometimes what really happened and what was fabricated and written. But it's fun because just seeing these characters that I feel like are extensions of me in a lot of different ways in my life, experiences that I've been through or people that I've met, that I sort of created to tell the story while I'm sitting at a piano or playing the guitar writing. Yeah. And now the way that the script is that character Dylan actually comes out of his little writing space and into the world of the characters. Does that make sense? Yeah. Instead of just kind of like letting it all happen on stage and him being like the audience scene inside his head. Well, now he's in the family.
He's a character.
In his own thing.
Yeah. This is super meta, basically.
Yeah. For sure.
Where does reality begin?
Yeah, a little abstract, but it's really fun, and the cast that we've been able to put together is phenomenal.
That's awesome.
And our director, that's we could spend 2 hours talking about the story of the director.
Yeah, who's directing?
Her name is Dana Pearson.
Okay.
She did a lot of work at the Egyptian Theater in Park City for many years. I think like 15 years or something.
Wow.
She ran the productions up there. You want to hear the story about that?
Please, yeah, tell us.
So at this workshop in April, my mom and dad grew up in Layton.
Okay.
I guess it's Layton if you're out here, but I say it Layton.
Yeah, you say Layton.
That's a thing, right?
It feels good to say Layton.
It does? Yeah.
it really
You're okay
does.
with Layton?
In fact, I prefer you say Layton.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Because I don't want to get in trouble, not.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Okay, so my parents grew up in Layton, and they grew up with Dana. My mom and Dana were friends in high school in Layton High. Okay, so when I'm putting together this workshop in April, trying to invite people that are in the theater world, and my mom says, "Hey, call Dana. She directs. She directs, and she's just in that world, and like she'd love to come see it." So we got her out, and we had a real good turnout there. And after the workshop ended, we ended up kind of scrapping our trajectory on who was kind of working with me and helping me bring this to life.
Yeah.
And so I find myself back at square one.
Okay.
With nobody.
Oh gosh.
With no team.
Yeah.
No production team. No production manager.
Yeah.
No actors. Nothing at all. Whereas up to that point, I kind of had a sort of a machine I felt like behind me.
Yeah.
But that was a crutch. I found out later that was a crutch. And I needed that rug pulled out from under me to pull up my own bootstraps, which is a line from one of our songs in our show, and just say, okay, I got to own this. Like I cannot rely on people to do the hard work of building something from the ground up. And that's what I was kind of doing to that point. So it was a huge blessing. Anyway.
And it's tough though, right? It's a tough thing when you're like, oh my gosh, it's all up to me right now.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Oh, it was terrifying because I thought, what am I going to do? I don't know anything about the theater world. I don't know anything about. I've lived in Utah for 20 years. I met my wife in Salt Lake. We were going to a student ward at the U of U back in 2000. We got married in 2002. Okay. And then we moved to Tennessee after that. So we've been away from Utah for a long, long time. She's from Vernal, so she's a Utah gal.
Okay, yeah.
So anyways, I just felt like, okay, what do I do? I'm not going to give this up because I knew that I had something that I believed in, that had a good message, that I wanted people to hear. And so I hollered at Dana and said, hey, you want to throw in with me? You want to do this? You want to go at it? And she'd sort of been a little retired, semi-retired from directing for a few years, but amazing. She just like took it by the horn. She's like dove in and we started casting. We started getting cast together. We started working on the script a little bit more, developing more. We brought some script editors in to help. A guy from the U of U that works in the drama department helped us a lot. Wow. And it just morphed and transformed into it has a story arc now, which it didn't really before.
Yeah, that's great.
So what's a story arc? I don't know. I'm a songwriter. I write songs. Yeah. So we kind of pared it down. We honed it in. We got it real focused, and it just tells I think a beautiful story now.
That's amazing, man. And when does it come out? When's the
December 10th?
December 10th.
So that's next Friday.
That's incredible. Yeah. How you feeling? You feeling nervous?
Feeling
excited?
good. Good nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not used to memorizing lines. Like I've never done this.
Yeah.
I might put on a good front, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Yeah. No, but it started to come natural. I think my siblings, their ability to do that is sort of channeling. I'm channeling that. Okay. Kind of mooching off of them a little bit because I'm like, okay, I see how you guys were able to do it back in the day, and I'm getting my groove now. You know, here and there, and does it feel good when you start to know your lines? And you know this, I'm sure, from experience, because when you're fishing for your line and you don't know what to say, you just can't be normal. You're not
present.
No.
You're not present. You're not present with your actor, right?
No.
And it's interesting because like play acting and movies are so different. Because movies, we're just doing scenes at a time, right? So we can like kind of memorize as you go. Yeah. You're like, okay, cool, we're doing this. So you get what's called sides, which means like, okay, this is the sides for the day. These are what we're shooting. Yeah. And you can kind of like the day before or two, you can kind of like
hyper focus.
You can hyper focus on those things, right? Yeah. I mean, ideally, you want to like get through the whole script and like learn it and everything. But in a play, it's like, oh no, you have to learn everything.
Yeah,
you know,
you have to learn the flow of things, where to be, the logistics of it,
the blocking,
the
all
cues,
that stuff.
and man, it's quite a production.
It is. That's amazing. But good on you, man. Like that's such an awesome thing that you were able to put together.
Well, one of the coolest things is that I get to hold a guitar for about 50 or 60% of the whole thing.
Oh, awesome!
I could either be playing piano or holding a guitar.
Yeah.
So that's like my comfort. Blanket.
Yeah. You're like, as long as I got this guy in my hand,
I'm good.
We're gonna be okay.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was I find Christmas to be such a special time. I think like before I was even Christian, because I grew up not LDS. I didn't join the church till after high school, but I found it to be a very special time, and I started to learn about the joy of giving, because we used to do like Sub for Santa in our high school and stuff like that. And it was interesting because I remember it was like our second period, we would collect money, you know, and for Sub for Santa. And I remember putting a little bit of money in that I had, and that like got everyone excited about like, hey, let's put some money in and let's like go out and help some people out and everything. And the spirit of service became like really like alive in us, and we became very excited to do it, and we ended up doing really well that year. I mean, there's like a friendly competition among classes to see who gets the most, and we ended up winning that year. But more than anything, I just realized like everyone went out of their way, you know, like to go out and do good. Yeah. And you look at life right now where there's just so much divisiveness, and there's just so much animosity and narratives being thrown left and right. And you're like, what's true, what's not? But to me, I feel like the greatest unifying factor of all things is the Savior. And like he brings everything back together in one. He's the one that offers us complete peace at a time it's very, very challenging. That's right. So I love that you have created a play about something like this, because it's the message that's needed around the world. Like it's what is needed for everybody, right?
Yeah.
How's your own faith been able to like root you into this play?
Yeah, so many of the songs, I was just thinking of some of the lyrics to my songs when you were saying that. There's a song called "All the Proof I Need." It's one that I wrote several years ago. But it says, I've seen folks out looking for the crashing of the thunder. It seems they want it spelled out on a page. And me, I stare up in the sky and begin to wonder how anyone could question how it's made. And they all long to be blown away, and as the sunlight touches their face. So really, sunlight is God. It's like that miracle that we take for granted. Yeah. And the chorus goes, and that's all the proof I need. It's good enough for me. No, I don't have to witness the calming of the sea. Just calmness in my soul is all the proof I need. And that's a song that Dylan sings, because in the story he loses a daughter at Christmas time, and it's a really hard thing for him. Before that, for the years up to that point, Christmas was just a magical time for this family, as it is hopefully for all of us. But they have this challenge that really makes him question, and he feels a little guilty for it for some reasons, which he really shouldn't. But you know, we all go through that in our lives. We blame we blame ourselves for things that really aren't our fault, or that we had no control over, and we beat ourselves up for years for really no reason. And when we can learn to turn that over to the Savior and just give that up, then we find the peace, and we find the proof that we need. That's all we need. That's all we need,
right? Are you familiar with the series The Chosen by chance? You have?
Love it.
You love that show?
Oh, it's amazing.
It's great. I love the filmmakers. I'm actually I played a very small part in that show.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. But one of the things that I felt working with them and Jonathan, who plays Jesus, I know him pretty well, and we were having a conversation, and we were just chatting about like his own faith and his own experience, you know, playing such a incredible character, right? And he was just saying, he's like, look, how do you play the Son of God? Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you like legit play that? And he said, I feel like I play the human side of him, and it's like I need him to take over the deity side of him, right? And I think that that's a beautiful thing, because you know, in our lives, like we want to be like him, and we want to like try our best to be good people and like go shine light on people and like create positive, you know, positive, light-filled, hopeful things. And when you feel your own shortcoming, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, like how could I ever match up, or how can I ever be worthy, or whatever it is. But I think what's so beautiful is all he asks is for us to have a relationship with him. That's it, really, you know, and that together you guys can create something incredibly magical and incredibly powerful, right? And I think that's such a powerful lesson that people tend to forget, which is this thing of like, oh my gosh, he's done so many good things for me. I got to do all this good stuff so that I can like show how good I am for him. Yeah. But he's like, well, you can absolutely, but also I just want your heart. Like just come hang with me, you know? Yeah. And like, let's just enjoy life together. That's right. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Now, part of the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast, we talk about lemons that people face in life and how they were able to change that into lemonade. So was there ever moments in your life that were like, oh wow, that was a lemon, that was a doozy?
Oh, I'm sure there are so many. Let's see. Let's think. Well, I build things for a living. Okay. So I'm a pretty handy guy. I've built houses from the ground up, and I don't know if I told you this. I don't think you knew this, but for a living, I build pirate ships for kids.
That's freaking amazing. My goodness.
My business, I travel all over the country building pirate ships.
That's so awesome.
For kids, right? So that's just kind of something that I fell into as I moved to Nashville, and was looking for something to, again, set myself apart from other people, because there's a million people building houses. I don't need to do that.
Yeah, and not that many people are building pirate ships.
No, I don't have a lot of competition. I'll say that. I kind of got that market taken care of, which is fun. But it's a struggle. I maybe this is not a lemon, but it's I end up having to leave my family for 4, 5, 6 days at a time. You know, sometimes a couple times a month throughout the year. And I'm traveling all over to California, to Oregon, to Florida, to New York, to Long Island. I mean, you name it, I've been there. Yeah. Been doing it for 13 years.
Wow.
And it's hard on the body, and it's sometimes I don't want to be there.
Sure.
I was in oh gosh, I can't even remember where I was, because I go to so many different places. Texas.
Okay.
In Texas just a few weeks ago, before I came out to start rehearsals. And this like 200-acre farm where this guy brings in these endangered animals, like from Africa. And like, wow, it's like you're on African safari in this place. Incredible. The coolest place. I thought I was going to see some elephants come over the ridge and some giraffes, but I never saw that. Yeah. But just being away, and like I was really isolated in that time, because I was like staying at this farm, and I was all these animals around, these turkeys that were all doing their business on my build. Oh, great. That's a lemon for you.
That is a lemon. That's
like, get out of here. Yeah. But I'm just like, FaceTiming home and just trying to stay connected. That's really hard for me. That's really hard, because my wife is amazing. She's gotten used to that life of
you being gone.
Of me being gone a lot, and it takes care of the family. It pays for food. It pays for clothes. It pays for everything, and it's a huge blessing in my life. I'm so grateful that it worked out the way it did, to build pirate ships for people.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool job description. But I just started to wonder: is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Like, a good friend of mine back in Nashville, he says, man, you got it made. And I tell him, I feel like I'm a glorified construction worker. Yeah. Sometimes out here in the muck and the mud and the cold and the heat, just like killing myself.
Yeah.
To continue for what? Like, what am I doing? I just, sometimes I get to the point where I feel like I have so much more to offer the planet.
Yeah.
And than just being out here building things out of wood.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm bringing happiness to people that are hiring me to come out, but they are hiring me. It's not like I'm able to just go out and do it for free. I've got to make a living. So, you know, I'm just doing my job, and I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to sound ungrateful at all, because again, it's a huge blessing in my life and my family's life to be able to do that. But I just have been feeling the last few years that, okay, I know I've been given a gift to write, and I'm the kind of person who, when I get a big idea, watch out.
You got to do it.
Because I got to do it. I can't just sit. I can't just go through the motions. I'm just not built that way. My family is all the same way. Every one of my family is an entrepreneur.
I love that.
We can't work. We can't work for somebody. We build our own future. We rise or fall on our own energy, on our own efforts and our own merits. And that's a pressure. There's a pressure to that.
Yeah.
Obviously, but I think we all thrive on that pressure, because it kind of
pushes you.
It defines you. It's like, okay, what are you really made of? Because it's all on your shoulders, and no one else is going to do the work for you. Just like this show. I had to start from the ground up. When I thought I had a machine to help me do it, nope. I had to start from the ground up and just build it. And I like that kind of a life.
Yeah.
I like that kind of pressure. I think it helps push me to my greatest potential.
Yeah, I love that, man. I mean, it's so good. And, you know, I was thinking about this because you were mentioning a lot about like building like ships and being like, is this really what I want to do and everything? I've had these exact same thoughts, and I have them currently, right? Because not only do I act, I make movies, I produce movies and stuff. And sometimes I'm like, is this it? Like, is this the end of like what I need to be doing? Or is there something more? Like, what else should I be doing, right? And I realized something. It doesn't matter the actual career or the actual path or what you do. When you talk about this, and when you talk about your music, I can already see you come alive. You just come alive. Like, that's just what happens. It's not like a forced thing. It's not an obligation thing. You just come alive. And what happens as you come alive is suddenly I feel this permission to come alive. Right? And I really believe that one of the things God wants us to do is to really come alive, is to really enjoy our life and to come alive, and to, you know, men are that they might have joy, right?
That's right.
And so I started to rewire or rethink things a little bit and thinking, you know what, it doesn't really matter the exact profession or the exact this or the exact that, because professions and stuff, they're going to go away. You know, things will just change and things will go away. But am I coming alive right now? And if I'm not, then I need to figure out a different path or a different approach and figure out what is going to actually make me come alive.
Yeah, I don't think God cares at all what we really do with our time as far as our profession or our hobbies or interests. But I think he cares about effort.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't expect perfection. He expects perfect effort.
I like that.
And everyone's perfect effort will land in a different place. Like, my perfect effort on writing a song is going to be at a certain level, but my perfect effort on buying the kids clothes for the new school year is going to be really kind of crappy because I'm just not good at that. But my wife's effort is going to be way up here, you know? Like they're going to be all over the place. But if I love when the prophet says, you know, he gives messages about effort, and I love the word effort, because we can all give the best effort that we can give. We can always do that in everything we do. Yeah. There's never really an excuse not to.
And by doing that, it's like, it doesn't really matter the outcome. It just matters that you gave it your all. You went all in, you committed to it. But I'm glad that you brought the shopping analogy up, because I'm the worst at shopping. I'm just the worst. And I remember I was dating someone who is great at shopping and shopping for clothes. I'm like, you know what? This is great. I'm going to allow you to show forth your talents and buy clothes for me. And she did. It was
Oh,
great.
there you go.
It was fantastic.
Well,
it was
that's
amazing.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. So right now, what is your greatest sense and source of joy?
My greatest source of joy right now is the thought of going home to see my family tomorrow for a couple days.
That's great.
That's a great source of joy.
Yeah.
I have a little 6-year-old and 7-year-old that just make me beam.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I love them all. The teenagers, you know, they're
Yeah.
they're in teenager land right now.
It's a different kind of love.
Yeah, it's a different kind of love.
Yeah, it's a different kind of love.
Okay, guys, come on, pull it together.
Yeah.
But the little ones, and of course my wife, you know, is amazing again. That's a source of joy. Creating something where once there was nothing
Yes.
is a source of joy. It's just
Organizing matter from chaos.
yes, for sure. And you know, working with new friends, meeting new people like you,
Yeah.
meeting awesome people that are out doing good things in the world. These actors, the cast, our team that we've put together, they're putting. I've learned this about theater, that you don't do it for the money.
No.
Right, just like playing gigs in
Yeah.
music, you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it because you love music, you love the feeling that it gives you, and that hopefully it gives the people that you're with in a room.
Yeah.
And the same thing with this. You know, the folks that we've gathered together are just passionate about telling stories, about connecting with people in a real way,
Yeah.
and especially the story of Christmas, which. One of the best things about Christmas is being able to look outside ourselves and lift others and do the work that Christ would do if he was on the earth right this second. We're his hands, we're his feet. We should be.
Yeah. I love that, man. That's so perfect. That's incredible. Okay. I got 2 more questions for you. Okay. We talked about your greatest sense of joy. What is the thing that makes you fear the most right now?
Forgetting a line?
That would be terrifying.
No, that fear is kind of going away now.
Yeah, that's good.
Greatest fear. That what I've written and that what this team has put together doesn't convey what we intend for it to convey, maybe. And I don't fear that that's going to happen, but if there was something that I would be disappointed that it did, it would be that, because you know, we're not doing this to be flashy or to impress people necessarily with our amazing vocals or our amazing lighting or staging. We're not doing it for those reasons. Those are all kind of a means to an end, right? Those are to help facilitate the message, which is about redemption.
Yeah.
It's about forgiveness. It's about always having something to climb. One of the songs in the show is called Climb.
Yeah.
And this homeless couple is there. They're kind of down on hard times, and they are sort of looked at as maybe not measuring up at first by another character in the show. And the girl sings this song called Climb, and she always, as long as she has some goal that she can be reaching towards, she's okay, even though she's in a destitute, in a bad spot right now with her dad.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way. And we want those messages to come across really in a genuine way, in a heartfelt way, and we want people to leave not necessarily humming old Saint Nick or Christmas tunes, but really feeling a renewed maybe energy about being like the Savior and serving and lifting and knowing that the little things we do every day, those add up to a greater whole.
Yeah.
You know, and like Christmas should not just happen in December or November.
No, it should be.
That spirit really should carry all year round.
Absolutely. I totally agree. That is so true to me. Okay, it's the last question. What would the current Derek Hinckley that's talking to me right now say to the Derek Hinckley who was building rafts back at home in Tennessee?
Oh, goodness. I think he would probably tell him to don't be so self-conscious.
Yeah.
You know, just be you, be okay with it, be cool with it, own it. And, you know, I don't even know if that's possible when you're a kid. Maybe there are some exceptional kids, teens that are just like they're just naturally can be themselves, and they're not worried about the cool crowd or being part of this or part of that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I played football a couple of years of high school, and I was in the singing groups, and that was really defined my high school days.
Yeah.
So the building raft days, you know, that I kind of had my people from middle to high school. It was the singing group, it was the a cappella groups, and that whole thing. So that really helped me come out of my shell a lot, as you were asking before. That helped a ton. Yeah. We had a mentor who was our choir teacher in high school. His name was Jim Kennedy. We actually made a film about him.
Oh, wow.
My brothers and I have made a couple films.
Awesome.
So we did a film about our choir teacher. We followed their group for a whole year.
Yeah.
And just kind of saw the competitions, the festivals, and all those kinds of things. And it was a blast. He's a huge blessing in our life.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm so excited like for this play. Okay, let's just do some final promos about it, because we're about out of time. So it is going to be coming out December 10th.
December 10th, next Friday.
Next Friday.
Yes.
And how long does it run for?
It runs till the 18th.
To the 18th of December.
Yep.
And where's it going to be at?
The Mid-Valley Performing Arts Center.
Okay.
It's right off Redwood Road in Taylorsville.
In Taylorsville.
Yeah, beautiful new venue. Just a gorgeous place. Everyone's going to love it. It's
awesome.
a black box theater that we're in, so it's a more intimate setting. Mm-hmm. So we're really like welcoming you into our living room.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a cool place.
That's a cool place. Yeah. That's awesome. So December 10th to the 18th, you said. And what was it? The Mid-Valley
Performing Arts Center.
Mid-Valley Performing Arts Center. I've never even heard of this place. So
it's brand new this year.
Brand new.
Yeah,
okay.
there's already been several productions and several different events there, but you can go to ArtTix and find the tickets there.
Okay.
Arttix.org.
Arttix.org.
Or our website, thebestthingmusical.com.
Thebestthingmusical.com.
Yep.
Awesome. Derek, this is awesome. Thank you so much, seriously, for coming on and like being here. Yeah, likewise. And seriously, I love the fact that we grew up around the same era, love the same music. Yeah. It's so awesome. I'm really stoked about this. And yeah, like any last words before we wrap up?
I think we're gonna do some giveaways, so maybe you let your listeners know we're gonna give some tickets away.
We're gonna give some tickets away,
some seats next week and during the show. Yeah,
absolutely. That sounds awesome.
Yep, awesome.
Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Man. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Thanks so much for listening to the Lemonade Stand podcast, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use to be alerted when we release new episodes. We'd also love to hear your feedback in the reviews, and if you or someone you know has an awesome Lemonade Stand story, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. Thanks so much, and have a great day.